Hello everyone, so The Rise of Skywalker has been out for several weeks now, and I'm sorry how late this spoiler discussion video is going up, and what I'm going to do for this one is I'm not going to do a full giant spoiler discussion about everything that happened in The Rise of Skywalker. I'm going to break it down into several videos, that way I get more Star Wars content on this channel, because I've been lacking in that area. Again, I've been focusing on other things as well, but what I'm going to do is break it up into a series of videos focusing on maybe a character or a story point, and that way I'll be able to have a more focused discussion and have, again, several different videos. But I was able to see this movie again for a second time. I've only seen it twice thus far. Again, I have a child to raise, so I can't get out as much, but I really needed that second viewing to really appreciate this movie, because going into that second time, I was able to sort of silence all the criticisms that everybody has of this movie, especially my own criticisms. And when I allowed myself to do that, I ended up just loving this movie. There's so much to enjoy about this movie. I mean, yeah, it has its flaws. It's not perfect. It's not the best of the sequel trilogy or the movies that have come out in this Disney area, but I don't think it's certainly the worst either. Yeah, I'm just go ahead and just dive into the spoilers about this movie, and starting with right off the bat, I think questions going into this movie were like, where's Rey going to be in her Jedi training? Is she going to be a full-fledged Jedi? Is she going to be teaching other people? And right off the bat, we get to learn that it's Leia training Rey, because I love this small little moment that we get with them and them talking about her training, and then Leia walks away from the scene, and right as she's leaving, Rey turns around and says, "Yes, Master." Love that moment, because it confirms that Leia is in fact training Rey. But I love the fact that it's Leia training Rey. We also learned that Luke trained Leia in the past, and she stops her Jedi training because of a vision she has, and now she's able to pass on what she learned from Luke to Rey. And I just think, had Carrie Fisher been with us for this film, and had we been able to have her physically with us in this movie, this would have been Leia's like big movie. We would have been able to see more of her and more interactions with her and Rey. And I would love to see that, but unfortunately, again, Carrie Fisher's unfortunate passing, and they did what they could with the footage that they had, and I thought they did that pretty well as with what they were given. I think they did a good job with that. So now, of course, you can't talk spoilers without talking. The biggest spoiler with Rey in this movie is that the fact that she's the granddaughter of the Emperor himself, Sheev Palpatine. She is a Palpatine, and I know that this has been talked to death about the internet and how people hate this, some people love it, and I've grown to love that Rey from nowhere angle, that she's this nobody that rose to the occasion of being the galaxy's last hope. And it gave that message of, you don't have to have these bloodlines to be special. You can be anybody in the galaxy can be special. Her being a Palpatine, I think still has that message to it. Just the fact of where she ends up at the end of the story, I think it still has that message of, yeah, I have this ties to this dark figure, and I have this bloodline, but that doesn't define who I am. I define who I am. And I like how this ties her into the story now. Before, she had no ties to the story, and now, because she wasn't a Skywalker Kenobi, but now that she's a Palpatine, she has this immense connection to the story of the Skywalker saga now. So one of the things that is really controversial with fans in this movie is the Force Ghost Luke scene. I think fans are looking at this scene as a dig to Rian Johnson, because everything Luke is saying is contradicting what happens in The Last Jedi. I don't see it that way at all. I see this as a progression of the character of Luke, and now that he's one with the Force, he sees the bigger picture, and he sees that he was wrong to do what he did, and taking that lesson from Yoda saying failure is the greatest teacher, and he's taking that lesson and passing it on to Rey, saying, don't make the same mistakes I did. I should have joined the fight. I shouldn't have come to this place and like just sort of drown myself in my pities and wallow in self-pity and just things like that. I couldn't disagree more with people saying that this is just a dig at Rian Johnson. This is J.J. Abrams trying to undo everything that he did. I don't see it that way. I see this as J.J. building on top of what Rian Johnson laid down, and just furthering the story of Luke Skywalker and progressing and confirming that Luke did in fact learn from his mistakes, and he's trying to pass on what he learned and what Yoda told him to do. You can't not talk about the very last scene in this movie with Rey adopting the Skywalker name. Now, a lot of people have issues with this. I don't. I love that this is the title of the movie. This is The Rise of Skywalker. It's Rey taking on the mantle of the Skywalker name. I think that this absolutely completes the belonging that she's been seeking this entire trilogy. From the very beginning of this trilogy, she's wanted to belong to something, and she wanted to be a part of something. This is her story of, I want to matter. I want to belong to something. We see her and she's alone on Jakku in the very first movie, and she's always wanted to be part of something greater than than the scavenger that she was raised to be on Jakku. I think this is great for the character. And Moss tells her this in The Force Awakens: the belonging you seek isn't behind you, it's ahead. The belonging you seek isn't with the Palpatine name, is with the Skywalker name. And I think what this does for just the lineage in general, because who else is going to take on the name? Because all the Skywalkers are dead. Spoiler alert, Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, the last blood-related Skywalker, dies at the end of the film. And who else is there to take up the Skywalker name? Rey. I think that's great. I think it sends such a great message, again, that it doesn't matter what your bloodline is. You can be who you want to be, and she wants to be a Skywalker because the Skywalker family had the most influence on who she became at the end of this film, and not the Palpatine bloodline. So those are my thoughts on her taking the Skywalker name. I know a lot of people love the fact that she just keep the Rey from nowhere. And I love, there's certain things in this movie that are set up really well in the beginning and then come to pay off in the end, because she tells the little girl in the village that she wants to know her family name, and she hesitates and says, I don't have one. I'm just Rey. And for her to come full circle at the end of the movie when somebody else asks her, Rey what's your family name? Rey Skywalker. I mean, that was just a fist bumping moment for me. I love the fact that she adopts the Skywalker name, and the legacy of the Skywalker and the Jedi live through this last hope with Rey, and ends with the binary sunset. There's just so many great moments, and that's just one of them for me. So the last thing I want to talk about in the spoiler video is that a lot of people are having different reactions to the fact that Rey is a Palpatine and she's taking the Skywalker name. The majority is negative, and I think the fans that are reacting so strongly to this are sort of projecting their own wants and needs onto this character, and I've never really done that. I don't think I've always sort of reacted to what I get out of the movies and what the movies are telling me. After The Force Awakens, I thought that Rey was Luke's daughter. That's what I thought the movie was obviously telling me. It's like with every twist and turn and everything that was presented to me in that film, there's no other answer. It's obvious that she's Luke's daughter. But then obviously after The Last Jedi, the movie tells me different. She confirms that, yeah, my parents were nobody. And I took that and I'm like, okay, what does that mean for the character? It means that it's this character that came from nothing, has this strong connection to the Force, and rose to be the last hope for the Resistance in the galaxy. I can roll with that. But then now after watching this movie, it's confirmed that she is a Palpatine. She's the granddaughter of Palpatine, and what does that say for the character? Okay, now she thought she was nobody and had no connection to the story whatsoever. Now she has a very important connection to this story, and that despite what her lineage tells her to be, she decides to be something else. And I love that, and I think that this satisfies that need for this character and closes off her arc so well. I love this story arc for her, and she remains my favorite character of this trilogy. And I said it as much in my non-spoiler review that, yeah, there's a lot of negativity for this particular movie and this trilogy, and just overall all the movies come out with Disney. There's a lot of negativity around the trilogy now. I think within the next 3, 5, 10 years from now, I think people will look back on the trilogy and sort of appreciate it for what it is, much like what happened with the prequels. When those happened, a lot of negativity happened around that, and just people just despised the fans around those and despised those films. And I think now that we've sort of removed ourselves from those movies and just look at them for what they are and the stories that are in that prequel trilogy, I think a lot of people are appreciating that, me included. And I think that's going to happen with this trilogy. I think a similar thing's going to happen with these movies, that 10 years from now we'll look back on them and appreciate the stories that came out of them. But that's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and share. Consider following me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when a new video goes up. Thank you, as always, for watching, and may the Force be with you.